This by far is probably one of the most emotional videos I've ever made because I just never thought that this year I'd be able to make a video like this. It just blows my mind. Don't tell me what God can't do, because so I started learning to drive exactly on the 28th of April 2021. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I always remember dates like exactly. I think my first lesson was like 11 a.m. It was for 1 hour. I just turned 18 like a week before, so I really wanted to get driving. I wanted to start when I was 17, but because of COVID, we couldn't really do anything. So I was able to begin when I just turned 18, which was awesome. My first lesson, I was just so gassed. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm actually moving a car. Like, this was so weird. But after my first lesson, I felt like, yeah, driving is easy. I'm definitely going to pass. First time, this is so easy. Then after like 10 lessons, I remember I finished like 10 lessons by the end of May because I had to go back to Ireland because I was going to Spain for holidays. And by the end of those 10 lessons, I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to take my test. So I came back to driving in July because in June I was in Spain. So in July, I came back to the UK, finish off my lessons and to get a driving test because I just wanted to drive ASAP because I wanted to go back to Ireland and used to drive my friends around. I did like intense lessons. Like I found a test for the end of the month. I think it was the 21st of July and it was like the 1st of June, 1st of July, and my instructor was like, yeah, if we have lessons every other day, we can do it. So that's what we did. Literally every second day. I was spending about £200 a week on driving lessons, which is crazy. And I didn't even have the money to afford it. So I had to pick up a job. I was working like a freezer warehouse, which was not nice because somewhere you're meant to like enjoy yourself. And I was like slaving away for a driver's license. Now comes the end of July. Like it's like 5 days before my test. And the rule in the UK is that you're allowed to cancel a test 5 days before and get your money back. So my instructor was like to me, to be honest, I don't think you're ready for a test. I don't want you to take it because you're going to fail, because I kept making mistakes. I wasn't like confident driving. I was really like nervous all the time. So she was just like, yeah, no. And I also had bad driving anxiety because I just kind of felt like, oh, driving something your parents do, like I'm too young to be doing it, which is not true whatsoever. So she was like to me, cancel your test. And I was just like, to be honest, I'm going to do it because I just have to listen to her and cancel the test. So I cancelled it and I went back home to Ireland, which was such an amazing thing because I was able to see my friends start driving. And I was just like, oh wow, like my friends are driving. Like this is something that's for me. I can do this as well. So then in September, I found another test. I came back to the UK from Ireland and I found a test for 29th of September. So that whole month, I was just like, yes, I have a whole month to practice. So I was practicing. My brother came over and I drove his car like once or twice, almost crashed into a pole. Anyways, so I was practicing and then I went for my test. And back then, because of COVID restrictions, if you fail like within like a few minutes, they bring you back to the test center. So I was driving and then like 10 minutes later, we're back at the test center and my heart literally like dropped. And then the examiner said to me, we're going to terminate the test here. And then I was, remember, he was like, do you want your instructor to be here for the briefing? And I was like, okay. And then she came and he said, unfortunately, on this occasion, you were not successful. And that felt like gunshots to me. Like I just never in my life thought I would ever fail a driving test. So I felt like boom, boom, boom. Like it was just so hard for me to even comprehend that I had failed. And I was so sad. I remember I was so sad because I told everyone, I told all my friends, all my family, I'm going to have my driving test. And then when I failed, it was just like, what? Like, I just never really experienced failure like that before. I was really upset, obviously. And when I went home, I was just really, really upset. But then fast forward a few months, I was able to get back onto the road. And in November, I booked another test. I booked it for the 24th of November, 2021. I went for the test and guys, I failed. And also why I failed for the first test was because I was driving too slow. It was like a really thin road and the speed limit was like national speed limit. So it was like 60 miles per hour. And I was driving like 25. And I didn't understand why the car wasn't going faster, but it's because I was in too high of a gear for the car to pick up the speed, so I should have gone down to third gear, and then when I picked the speed, gone back to fourth. But I didn't understand that then, and apparently I didn't look at a mirror or something like that. Then my second test, about 30 minutes into the test lasts about like 35 to 40 minutes. 30 minutes into the test, I fail. And I fail because I'm going on a big roundabout and I'm like on the right lane, so on the roundabout, so you should exit on the right lane. But I think I exited onto the left lane. And the examiner, he just like looked back and he was like, okay. And he was directing me back to the test center. And he was like, unfortunately, you failed. Don't worry, keep trying and all that. And I was just like, oh. But then I just felt like this is just one small mistake. Just give me one more chance to take a test like next week and I'll pass. And then my instructor was just like, oh, sorry, I'm all booked for the rest of the year. Like it was like November. And she was like, oh, I'm booked till January. We can go for a test in January. And I was like, what? I want my license before Christmas. So I literally called 39, if not 49 driving schools in my town, and only one driving school was available to take me on as a student. And this person was quite expensive. It was like €50 for an hour and a half or something, and I usually pay like 45. So I was like, oh, this is way more expensive. And then Long story short, I went on that lesson and I absolutely hated it. It was a diesel car. I was used to driving petrol. It made me feel like I didn't know how to drive whatsoever. It was a terrible experience. The man was a bit weird as well, and his car was just really dirty. He was just like, I just didn't enjoy the experience. And when I came home, I literally cried. Like I was like just crying. I was just like, God, this is so hard. I just want to get my license. I failed 2 times. I can't even find a driving school. I just want to get it. So then I wasn't able to get my license before Christmas. So I just went back home. And in January, my brother came to stay with me for the whole month, and he brought his car. So I didn't have to do driving lessons. I was practicing with him, which was really helpful. Like it made me realize like the normality of driving, like driving to uni or driving to the shop. Because before, with an instructor, you just drive random routes. Like there's no destination. But when you're driving with someone, it's like, okay, let's go to the shop. I'm gonna drive. Let's go to uni. I'm gonna drive. So it made me realize, okay, driving is normal. Like this is an everyday thing. Like I need to relax. And then I was just like, okay, I want to go for a third test. So I went for a third test in March. And I was back with my instructor, so I told her, okay, I'm ready to go back into driving now with you. So, because I told her that time I was practicing with my brother, so I was just like, okay, my brother's gone now. I want to drive with you. So I found a test for the 16th of March, and I was so confident because I'd taken a long time since my previous test. My last test was in November. So I was like, okay, at 16th of March, I'm going to pass. Everyone's like to me, you're going to pass, you're going to pass. I was like, yeah. So then I went, and I was so ready, I was so prepared, I was so confident. I wasn't shy whatsoever. I felt so confident. The test was really easy for me. But then, guys, we're on a roundabout. We were on a big roundabout, and the spiral roundabouts, I just didn't understand them back then. So I'm trying to like go to your lane. So I switch lanes and a van is coming. And rule in the UK, maybe in every country at least anyway, is that when the examiner has to take action, you failed. So I just automatically knew I'd failed. And the drive was so perfect. And the worst part is that I didn't even have to be on that roundabout because I was meant to go left, so just like exit. But I went the wrong way, so I went straight onto that roundabout. I didn't have to be on the roundabout, so I was like, oh no, like if I just didn't make that one mistake and not go the wrong way, then I would have passed my license and I would have passed. So it was so heartbreaking, and the examiner was trying to cheer me up. He was really, really, really nice. Like he was by far the nicest examiner I've ever had out of my 6. So yeah, we got back to the test center. I failed. I was feeling upset, but then everyone was encouraging me, go back in 10 days. The examiner even said to me, come back in 10 days, because legally you're only allowed to come back minimum 10 days. You have to wait 10 days before you retake another test. So the examiner's like to me, come back in 10 days. Everyone's like, come back in 10 days. So then I came back in about on the 5th of April. So I don't know how many days that was, maybe like 30 days or 20 days. And I came back, and it was the worst test of my entire life. That test still traumatizes me. The test basically still traumatizes me because the night before the test, I hadn't had any lessons with my instructor prior to the test. Like from my last test to this new test, I hadn't had any lessons because she went on like holidays. And then she said to me that, oh, on Sunday we can have a lesson. My test was on like Tuesday, and I was just like, I can't. I will have to go to church because I wanted to go to church. I was like to her, find me a lesson for Monday morning, please, because she only had a lesson for me at the night. Like, what's the point of having a driving lesson at night if the test is going to be in at the daytime? So then she was just like, okay, I can't find any other time, so we're going to have to drive in the night. So I was like, oh my days, one lesson before my test, goodness. So me to the roundabout that I failed on my third test, and I was so angry because it was dark, so I couldn't even see the roundabout. I didn't understand the floor markings because I literally could not physically see it. And then also, she did it for me. Like, she was just like, press the clutch, press the gas, and she was like steering for me. So I didn't even understand. And we just went over it once, and she like understood good. So like when I went home, I just cried again. I was just like, I don't understand. Like the thing I failed for, I haven't learned. What if I go on that again the next day? So I was so stressed at night. I couldn't cancel my test because if I did, I'd lose my money. So I was so stressed. I was just praying. I was like, God, like, what is going on? Like, I haven't even improved from what I failed from. I have no idea. So the day of the test, I was just like, God, I don't want to go, honestly. The test was at like 11 a.m. or something. So like 8 a.m., my instructor calls me and she goes like, Fetty, my car has broken down. The gearbox is not working. I can't bring you for your test. I'm so sorry. So I'll give you back your money for the test. I just knew that was God because I was literally praying. I couldn't sleep all night. I had really bad anxiety. I had no peace whatsoever the whole night. I just couldn't sleep. I was so worried. And then I was just like, oh my days, like, I can literally, like, get my money back for the test. But then I was just like, you know what, I'm going to take my brother's car. My brother was with me for a few days. So I was just like to him, hurry up, I need to get insured in your car. I need to get the mirror thing bought for your car. We're going for my test. So then we hurried up quickly because we literally had like only like 1 hour and a half to get everything sorted out to use his car because we weren't like prepared to use his car, and I hadn't been practicing in his car either. So I was trying to still cheer myself up. I was still really upset and nervous because I felt like I didn't even know anything that was going on. I just had really bad anxiety. Like mentally, I was just really mentally blocked and just really upset. And I was trying to cheer myself up, and like, yeah, it just wasn't nice. That day whatsoever was not nice. Driving to the test center was not nice. Everything was not nice. When I got to the test, I failed within 5 minutes because I was so, like, I had really bad anxiety. I was so in my mind that I didn't even see a giveaway sign, and the examiner had to scream, "Stop!" Like, it was so loud. And I was just like, to him, I was like, "Can we just cancel the test and go back to the test center?" And he was just like, "If we cancel the test, we have to walk back because legal reasons." I was just like, "Okay, let's continue the test." And I got like 4 serious faults. I got like so many minors. That was just like such a bad test. And like, I felt so bad because that wasn't my ability to drive. I just had a really bad day. And it was like all my hard work from practicing driving for almost a year and everything just like down the drain. And it just made me feel like, can I even drive? Like, what's wrong with me? So needless to say, I took a long break from driving. I was gonna come back in May, like from April. I was gonna come back to take another test in May, but I was just like, to be honest, I've always spent my money on driving for the last year. Let me do something nicer. So I just went on holidays. My mom was telling me that I should start learning to drive in Ireland, but I was just like, no, because it's just too much. Honestly, like, it's easy, but like, there's never any tests and stuff like that, and all the legal requirements. I was just like, no, I'll wait. So all the way from April to October, I didn't drive. I drove like twice, once with my brother and once with my mom, but just like as a learner driver. I drove only twice from April to October. And in this time, I was in Ireland, and I was seeing like my best friends driving. Like, all of them were driving, they all had their own cars and all. And like, from watching them, I was realizing that it's really not a big deal at all. Like, it's not hard, like, at all. Just focus on the road, be safe, check your mirrors, and drive. Like, I was making it such a big deal mentally. I was like, Fetty, you can do this. Like, you really can. So then in October, I was thinking, I was like, is it time for me to get back into driving now? Because I've taken a long break and I don't want to give up. Because I've come this far, and it'd be such a pity to have spent all my money and working in that freezer warehouse and all those times to just give up. So I was just like, maybe it's time to get back into driving. I didn't really want to because I didn't want to spend all my money on it. And secondly, I was a bit nervous to feel that feeling again of, oh no, I'm preparing for a test. I hope I pass. Just like that pressure. And like, I liked living knowing that I don't have a test coming up, or am I going to pass my test? Like, I liked not having that pressure in my life. So to bring it back, I was like, oh my goodness, this is a bit much. But I was like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do it. God is with me. I'm a lot relaxed now. Let's go back and do it. All the driving school, because they kept calling me, because I just signed up on Instagram. I know those people that just keep calling me. So yeah, they kept calling me. So then I said to them, yeah, I'm looking for an instructor. This is my postcode, blah, blah, blah. They charged me like £37 to like book my first lesson. And they're just like, the instructor will be in contact with you in 24 hours. 24 hours passed. The instructor was not in contact with me. So I was just like, okay. I was like, I'll give them till Monday. 48 hours passed. The instructor was still not in contact with me. And then this time I wanted to buy something else with my money. So I was just like, to be honest, let me get a refund, because these people kind of feel like scammers. Like, they didn't know instructors in contact with me. So I was just like, yeah, I called them and they're just like, do you want us to keep trying? I was like, no, just give me back my money. And they gave me a refund, which is really nice. And then the next day I went to church, and there's this old man that drives me to church, because we live right next to each other. And he said to me, so how's your driving journey going? And that was really weird because I haven't been driving since April. So he just randomly asked me that, and like, he'd never asked me that, and I've been going to church with him since August. So I was just like, what a coincidence that he's asking me that now. And I was just like, it's so hard to find an instructor, like, no one is serious and all that. And he goes like, oh, you think that they'd be looking for work? And when I was in church, I just felt like in my mind, I was just like, should I ask him, can I practice in his car? Like a Fiat Panda, like a really, really small car. It's so cute. Manual as well. I can get insured on it, and he lives close to me, so I can just practice with him once a week, twice a week, whatever, for an hour. So then after church, I just picked up the courage, and I just went to him and I said, can I practice in your car, like, weekly? Can we do driving lessons together just for an hour, drive around the town? And he was just like, yes. And I was just like, well, first, I didn't want to get my hopes up. I was just like, okay, this sounds too good to be true. Let me just relax. So then I got his number plate, and I looked up insurance. Insurance was only £70 for a month. So I was like, well, 74. Shout out to Marmalade. And then I was just like, okay. So then I got insured on his car, and then I went to his house for a prayer meeting, because we have like community group in his house. And I went to the kitchen, guys. Like, he bought L plates. Like, he just bought L plates. Like, before I even followed up on it with him about like driving, he just bought L plates, and I just saw it. And he was like, did you see the pack of L plates I bought for you? I was just like, that is so cute. That's literally the cutest thing ever. And he was so excited because he just kept telling all the people in the church, oh, I'm doing driving lessons with Fetty. I'm doing driving lessons with Fetty. So I was like, oh, that's so cute. But I still didn't want to get my hopes up. So I had my first lesson with him, and I was really nervous because I didn't know how I was going to feel about his car or driving with him. He's 84 as well. So I was afraid that, like, what if like his reaction senses aren't that that good, and if something happens, he can't react. But guys, let me just say, he was really good at reacting all the time. He'd always be like, whoa, whoa, it was so cute. But then, yeah, we had our first lesson. It was really good. I felt really confident. I drove really well. Apart from being on the accelerator and the clutch at the same time, like, I was really, like, revving a lot because I was trying to get used to this car. But apart from that, it was really good. It was such an easy car to drive. The pedals are so sensitive. Like, they're so sensitive. They're like, that, you know, they're not really firm, but I really liked the car anyways. And I had my first lesson with him, and that was really nice. And the next day, not the next day, like 2 days later, we had another lesson, and we drove a really far distance because he wanted to show me this place he used to go to with his wife where you can sell things. And it was really, really nice. Honestly, it was just amazing. And there was a lot of practice because I was driving like the far places with someone, and then we kept practicing and kept practicing and kept practicing. We started our first lesson on the 27th, and we had about 2 lessons a week, usually like Monday and Thursday. Not Monday, Tuesday. Maybe it was, no, I think it was Tuesday and Thursday. We started on 27th, so twice a week, and then I found the test for the 10th of October, 10th of November. So literally last month I found the test, and I was so ready, I was so confident because I was just like, bro, I'm ready. Like, there's nothing that can make me fail my test now. Like, I'm so ready. I prayed about it every day. I was just ready. I went to the test. I was so confident, ready to pass, honestly. But I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anyone in the church. It was only the old man that knew about my test. Only him and one other person I told, but I didn't tell them the date. No one knew about my test because I just wanted to keep it a secret. So then I went to the test, and guys, I literally failed. Like, I failed for one thing. Well, the man wrote down that I didn't check my mirrors, but I don't remember not checking my mirrors because I was like this every 5 seconds. But I failed because we're going on a roundabout. And the usual rule for roundabouts is that you can use the left lane to turn left or straight. And I was meant to go straight on the roundabout, so I chose the left lane. But that one roundabout, you're not allowed to use the left lane to go straight. You can only use the left one. You have to use like the right lane to go straight or something like that. So then I failed for that, unfortunately. And the examiner was like to me, you're such a good driver, come back, come back, come back. And I was just like, okay, like I failed and I didn't really care. I wasn't really sad. I still like went about my day. I had an exciting week. I went to Nando's with a friend after, and then the next day I stayed with my friend in a hotel, and the next week I went to Spain. So I had like an amazing week. But then after, it started hitting me and I started feeling like, yeah, I'm never going to have my driver's license. Yeah, like it's impossible. Like, I don't know anymore. Like, I just felt like hurt. I felt really hurt, and I was just like, I don't want to go rush for another test unless what happened on my fourth test, that traumatic experience, is going to re-happen because I rushed to take another one. If I rush again, then I'm going to just fail again, and it's going to be terrible. So I was just thinking, I just felt like, oh, I don't know, let me allow myself time to heal and let me not go for a test again. And then I was just like, okay, I might go for a test, but then I was thinking, let me leave it for the new year, to be honest, because I don't want to invest so much money into driving again right now, honestly, and take another test, because if I fail, like, that's my money wasted and I can just use my money on something else. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to go back to driving in January, the new year. And then I was on the phone to my dad, and he just said to me randomly, he's like, don't leave driving too late. And I was just like, are you in my head? I felt like God was really speaking to me through him. He said, don't leave driving too late. And I was just like, oh my days. Like, I literally said today that I'm going to come back in January. And he just said to me out of the blue, like, don't leave driving too late. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So I was just like, okay, I know I have to take a test again in November or in December. So then I went to church prayer group that day, and they're just like, does anyone have anything that they want anyone to pray for? And then I said, because usually I don't like to share my personal life because I'm just like, I don't really want people to know. But this one, I was just like, I don't really like when people that aren't really my close friends know when I'm struggling with something. So just to kind of keep like a bit of like, you know? But then I just felt like God was like to me, because we're talking about pride in that prayer group. So I was just like, okay, let me not be prideful. Let me open up and tell the truth. And I was just like, yes, I have something to pray about. And there's like 9 people here. So like opening up is like such a big thing. And I was just like to them, I'm really struggling with driving. Like, I just feel like I can never pass. I feel like I'm such a good driver, but not good enough to pass. That was my exact sentence. And I was just like, it's so tough. This isn't my dad that's encouraging me to keep going, because he kept telling me to go. My mom as well kept telling me to keep going as well. And I was just like, it's so disheartening. Like, I don't know what to do. And they was like to me, do you have another test book? I was just like, I'm still waiting for a cancellation because I didn't find a cancellation, even though I wanted to take another test in November. So I was just like, no, I can't find a cancellation. And they're just like, okay, we're going to pray for you and all of that. And then when I got home, like when they dropped me home from the prayer group, like literally within 4 to 5 minutes of me getting home, like open the door, locking the door, stepping, I get a notification on my phone, test cancellation. And it was the 23rd of November this year. So literally, like, it was literally like a few weeks ago, like 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago. I just got a notification, test cancellation. 28th of November, and you have 5 days to get your money back if you cancel. It was the 23rd, so the test was in 5 days, so I could book it and probably get my money back if I didn't want to go. If I cancelled it like that night, it was like 9 p.m. as well, so I had 3 hours to decide whether I wanted to cancel the test or not. So I literally like rushed to go like book it, because tests go really quickly, test cancellations, because like everyone in the town is looking for a test cancellation. So then I pressed it. It was making me log in. I was like, oh my days, I've definitely lost this test. And then I had to change my internet to my 3G because my internet was being slow. So it literally took me like a good 5 minutes to like press on the test. And usually somebody else is quicker. They'll get that test in 3 seconds. And I was shocked. I was like, the test is still here. Like, nobody has pressed it. So I pressed it and all, and it said booking confirmation. I was like, yes, I booked it, I booked it. Then I called the old man, because obviously I have to use his car. And I was just like to him, okay, can I use your car, please, for Monday? Are you free? The test is at 8 a.m. And it was at 8 a.m., guys. That's literally rush hour. So I was really nervous. I was like, roundabouts are going to be full. Everything, like, it's rush hour. Like, I'm terrified. So then the old man was like, Monday, yes, I'm available. I was like, yeah. And he was like to me, do you want to practice on Friday? I was like, yes, thank you so much. You're so amazing. So then I booked a test. I decided I'm going to go ahead with it. I called my mom. I told her, it's 8 a.m. Like, should I look for another test, rush hour? Because there was another test on Wednesday, the 30th. I was like, that's at 10 o'clock. Maybe I should go then. And she was like, no, just go for the Monday one. I'm going to go for it. So then I booked it, everything. The next day, I sorted out insurance. Thank God, with Marmalade, you get 10% discount. This sounds like an ad. They should honestly sponsor me. Percent discount with Marmalade. So, and when I first got insurance with them, we were only allowed to get insurance for a month. So it was like £74. But now I think after I got insurance with them, like I unlocked a benefit or something where you could like get insurance for just 1 week, and I only needed insurance for 5 days because my test was in 5 days. So I was like, yes, 1 week, and it was only £33 or £34, so it was really really cheap. Honestly, it was so cheap, and it was just so everything just went so smoothly. And it just showed me how like God did that. Like everything went so. And after every single lesson I had with him, by the way, I wrote down a notion. I'm gonna put it here. I wrote down a notion, every single thing I did well, everything I needed to work on, and also. Actually, I'll add that into another video. On the day of my test, the night before my test, I couldn't really sleep because I came back from church late and I went straight to sleep after church. So I was kind of awake at like 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. So then, yes, my test was at 8 a.m. So I woke up at 6:20. I went to go shower. Then I went to go spend time with God in the morning. And, like, I spent a lot of time with God. I was just really praying. Not like, God, please help me pass my test. Just type of prayer like, God, I failed 5 times. If this is another fail, Lord, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I just pray that I'll pass eventually. God, thank you so much for opening doors and all of this for me. That was my prayer. It wasn't like, God, in Jesus' name, I'll pass. I pass. Although that's a good prayer as well, though. So then, yeah, I had a shower, I ate, and then my test was at like 8 a.m. And like, I went to the old man's house at like 7:20, and he's so cute. Like, he was already like in the driver's seat. He was about to drive to my house because he probably thought I was asleep, and he wanted to be like, your test. So I came, and it was so foggy as well that the roads were really, really foggy. So I'm so blessed my test didn't get cancelled, because to find another test is just struggle. I got to the test center. It was kind of like a bad morning for me. Like, it was a great morning in the sense of waking up early and spending time with God and having breakfast, but like I was really cold because I was wearing flares, and it was like a cold winter's morning, 8 a.m., really cold. Like, it was really cold, and like I had flares, so like the cold was like really going up my legs when I was driving like to the test center. So my legs were shaking, and because I was shaking, I was making mistakes. I didn't feel like confident on the pedals or on anything because I was just really shaking because I was really cold. And I was just like, oh no, I'm really cold. Like, I hope I don't shake and make a mistake on my test because I'm cold. So then we got to the test center and everything, and like I just kind of felt like, a attitude. And usually I always feel like going for a test, you should feel 100%. Like, I wanted to feel like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's get this test done. But I felt really like, like, oh my gosh, like everything, like I'm cold right now. Like, I don't know, it's 8 a.m. and all of that. So then the examiner comes. This is even another testimony in itself about the examiner, but I'm not going to speak about that in this video. This is the first lady examiner I've had as well. I always had men in, like, for my 5 other tests. So this is the first lady examiner. She comes, she's like, my name and all that. I sign everything you have to do. She's like, okay, show me your car. And I was like, okay, I showed her the car, and she was explaining the test, and she's like, okay, we're going to go for the test now. And I was like, okay. And then I was driving and all, and like, on the road to like drive out of the test center and all, everything went fine. And then we're driving on like a main road, and usually like for my test, when I feel like I'm going to pass, I'm so concentrated on the road, like looking at anything, like a fly can fly past, and I'll be like, yes, that fly is from the car. But this, I was kind of like, I'm gonna test like that, because I just kind of felt like I didn't feel like my best that morning. Kind of just felt like oh no. And I thought that's why I was gonna fail. I thought because I had a bad mentality and I had a bad sense of mind, that's why I'm going to fail this test. So I went on the test, everything. I did everything I had to do. A million times I thought I failed. Honestly, I thought I was coasting too much. I was in first gear and roundabout when I should have been in third gear. Also, yeah, just a few things, but the examiner was just sent from God. She was so nice, guys. Like, I was like, the reason I failed on my fifth test, Like, she was like to me, we're going on a roundabout, please use the right lane to turn to go straight. Like, you're not meant to tell them that, but she said it to me so I would know. And I was like, thank you so much. And like, I had to do my maneuver, so I had to do bay parking, forward bay parking. And I went into first gear, I went to first gear to move in, calm, nice. Now she said, please reverse out. And then I was reversing out, but I left the gear in first gear. There were no cars in the car park. It was like no one there. That's probably the benefit of having an 8 a.m. test, because no one's really in any car park. So, and she was like to me, we're reversing, okay? And like that could have been easily a fail. And she just marked it as a minor. And there's so many things. She was just so kind, so nice on the exam. Although she didn't speak, usually examiners always speak to you all the time, but she didn't speak. She just had a straight face. I didn't know whether I failed or not. And once she like looked back like that, and that happened on my second test where he looked back and saw I was in the wrong lane, so he was like, oh, you failed. So I thought I failed from that as well. And then finally at the end of the test, she was like, oh, what do you do for a living and all that. But they usually ask you that throughout the test, but she was just really like that. So I couldn't even tell from her facial expression whether I had passed or failed. But then I remember I was driving to the test center, like we're in traffic, and I was just like, God, please, I want this to be a day of rejoicing. God, please, I really, really want to pass. Help me to pass. So then we get to the test center, and she's like, park in this bay, please. That one there. And I was like, okay. And she's like, do you want your a company driver to be here for the briefing? And I was like, no, this is where they tell you your results, basically, and your mistakes. And she's just like, and guys, from failing 5 times, what they always say when you fail is, unfortunately, you did not pass. Unfortunately, you were unsuccessful on this occasion. That's what they always say. So I was expecting her to say, unfortunately. I was just so ready for it. I was just like, it's okay. I'll come back for a test in 10 days. I'm not going to give up driving. I'm going to pass. I'm going to get my driver's license. So then she said to me, I'm pleased to say, and guys, when I heard those 3 words, I'm pleased to say, 4 words, 5 words, whatever they are, when I heard them, guys, like, I don't have words to explain how I felt. Like, I don't even have the words. Like, my heart just like fell. I just like put my head like this on the steering wheel. I didn't even hear what else she said after. She could have said, I'm pleased to say you failed. I don't know, but she just said, I'm pleased to say. And I was just like, oh God, I thought I failed. And she was like to me, you only made 3 minor mistakes. So how it works in the UK is you're allowed to make 15 minor mistakes, and then after 15 you pass, and you're allowed to make 0 serious mistakes. So all my other tests, I always made like a million serious mistakes. Not a million, maybe it was 2 or 3. Yeah. So then I only made 3 minor mistakes, and it was one where I went into first gear instead of putting it in reverse. That could have been a fail. And then she said I was on the foot brake, like going too hard on foot brake or something when we were coming to a crossing. And the other one, position, I think I was maybe drifting or something. But other than that, only 3 minors. And I was just like to her, I thought I failed. And she was like, wow, you're such a good driver. And all this. And I was just like, this is my 6th test. And she was like, oh, bless. I was like, thank you so much. And then it was just so amazing because the old man was waiting for me. Then he came and he was like, did you pass? And I was like, I passed, and it was just so cute. His reaction, everything was so cute. And then I took a picture of him as well, which I will remember forever. I also got him a gift, which is so cute because, like, it wasn't too good to be true. Like, God made that happen where someone was like, yeah, you can drive in my car, and we have lessons twice a week, which I'm getting for free. And I take a test and I pass, you know. And he has so much patience to even come for a second test. Like, he could have been like, well, I can't lie, I gave you a chance to go for your first test, you failed. That's on you. Go get an instructor. He said, yeah, I'm coming with you to your second test. Do you want to practice on Friday? Like, I was so blessed to have had that opportunity. It was so amazing when I called my mom and called my family. I was like, I passed, guys, because 5 times I always said, I failed, I failed, I failed. So this 6th time, I was like, guys, I passed. Like, it's just like the most unreal sensation in the whole wide world. Like, it was just the best day ever. Honestly, I was so happy, and I still am so happy. Like, I passed my test like 11 days ago. Today's the 9th of December, so I passed on the 28th of November, and like, I'm so like, thank you God, because I remember how much I struggled, how I had anxiety, how my instructor was low-key a bit moving mad many times, and how like I had to work in a warehouse, and how like see my friends drive and feeling like, will I ever drive, you know, or like maybe I'm gonna pass on my 15 test. But like, now it's done and it's over. Only glory to God. And I'm just so happy because it's over. Like, I have my full license now. Like, when I get stopped by police, they're like, full license please. I just show my license. Like, I can rent a car, I can drive in France or something. And it's like over for the rest of my life. And I will make sure that I never lose my license because I'm not going through this ever again, God forbid. So it's just over now, and I'm so grateful to God, honestly. Honestly, that's my story on how I passed my driving test after 6 tests. 6 tests, okay? And I just want to shout out to that old man. He's so nice. God honestly bless him so much. Like, that's the church. That's what the church should be. They should help you in tough times when you're struggling, when they have the necessity to help you. So I'm just so blessed. And God has honestly turned my mourning into dancing. He's taken off my sackcloth and clothed me with joy. So I give God all the glory for this. Honestly, like, nothing I did. I thought I failed a million times. I can name a million mistakes I made on that my last test, but God just had favor on me with the examiner, with the test for it, with everything. Like, bro, it was 8 a.m. rush hour. Like, that's a really hard time to drive. Roundabouts are full. God just always had favor on me, so I'm just so grateful. And I just pray that now when I get my first car, God just keeps me safe on the roads. And I just pray I can be a blessing to someone else learning to drive, because I know it wasn't easy for me. I just want to let you know that if I could pass my driving test, me, literally me, like, that failed 5 times, so can you. So can you. So never give up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this was a great, interesting story. And I'm going to make a video on tips I've learned from the driving test as well. So stay tuned for that. See you soon.